struggle is real. It's me versus me, the struggle is real. Why don't you choose yourself? Choose yourself right now. It's me versus me, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 5th episode of It's Me versus Me Life Change Challenge. And boy, have we been busy on our end, going to the gym and working out as a group. Going to the health fair and talking with so many folks about making a life change for themselves as well as for their families, sharing our new merchandise with others. And oh yeah, while we're on that subject, I'd like to share with you all the merchandise that we have available. And you can go to our website on www.itsmeversusme.tv on the website, and you can order these as well, and they've got prices there. But if you would like to be a participant, this is what you get in your participant package, which actually just includes $15 a week for our 16-week series. You get 3 Staiku scannings, one in the beginning, one in the middle, one in the end. And then you get a book that was written by yours truly, Gary Boyd. That would be me. Yep. And what it has in here is all kinds of information, things we need to fill out, just your workbook. That's what that is. And then you've got this really cool coffee mug you're going to get. I know you're going to love it. Is that not awesome? Look, it's great. And we got our cards in, but you also get a stretchy band, the red ones, where you can do workouts, sitting, watching TV, whatever you do. There you go. And then we got our ink pens. Woohoo! And not only do you get merchandise and the 3 Staiku scannings, but you also get group participation, you got accountability partners, and you get group workouts and just so much more. So now I would like to go to our section where it talks about where are they now. Now, what I'd like to do is let's look at Rhonda's board right now and see where she's trending. She's not here tonight, but she's been here a lot. But I'd just like to show you her board. And I messed up on her stuff. So here we go. This is Rhonda's board right here. And I'm going to stand up from here. And this is Rhonda's board. Each person that's a participant gets a board. This is her now picture. And this is the picture that she's working toward. What a cutie patootie she was and is. She's a cute person. She's lovely. And then we've got our graph over here. And she started at 212. And she was a turquoise. And I'm going to have to fix her board for her. And then she went down to a sapphire at 212, 205, and 200. So in a 2-week period of time, she has lost 12 pounds. She's headed toward a pearl, and we're so excited about her being a pearl. And then she's just going to keep right on going. She's doing great. She's eating about 1,200 calories a day and going to the gym every time we go. She's walking her dog every day, sometimes twice a day. She's doing fabulous, and she's feeling great. And now Tammy has lost 2 pounds this week, so I'm really excited about her. And she's a pearl closing in on an opal really, really, really fast. Now Jerry, our participant that lost her leg in a car wreck, she's a couple of pounds from being a pearl, so we will check with her next week. I haven't made it to my ruby yet, so we will see next week. I just got to push that water, but I'm just not good at it. Tonight we have a great program for you. Jenny Greer, marriage and family therapist. She has a Master's of Art degree, a postgraduate degree in trauma, and EMDR trained, which focuses toward PTSD. And right now, let's just ask her to join us. Come on over, Jenny. Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are
Good,
you?
good. Have a seat. Have a seat. Let's talk a minute. So, how are you?
I'm good. How are
Good,
you?
good. It's been a lot of years since you and I have talked. We were friends years ago, and we're still friends, of course, but we're just not we don't do things together. But I have watched you from afar, and you've watched me from afar. We've known each other for years, and I have a lot of respect for you. And I'm so thankful that you came today because with our weight loss journey, our fitness, it's me versus me, life change challenge, it's real important, I think, for us to understand as people who have always fought with our weight, I can say probably all the people that come on the show or that are a part of the show have been fighting with something, with their fitness, with their weight issue, something like that. It doesn't have to always be weight, but it can be if they work out, if they take care of themselves, if they walk, if they eat properly, things like that. So what I think is real important for us to do, this is our fifth episode, and I think it's real important that we understand what's going on in our minds, in our brain, in our heart as to why we constantly have to battle the me versus me issue, because it's a constant fight all the time. There's a reason why I put the struggle is real on the bottom, because it's a struggle every day. And I know that you do family therapy and stuff like that. So just tell us a little bit about yourself if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, I have worked with families and children, and then I moved on from there and I worked with boys in a residential facility.
Oh, wow.
So some I did trauma therapy with, and some they just had behavioral issues, conduct disorder. And then I wanted to be closer to home, so I took a position here at the methadone clinic, and I work with people who have opioid addiction.
Wow. Wow. You spent your whole life serving others to help them be the best that they can be, which is what this show's about too. So when we talk about, a lot of times, it's interesting how a stereotype is when you're, if you want to say it like this, like a Christian, biblically, you say, oh, that person sins because they've got a drug addiction, or that person is a sinner because they, and this is not a religious program, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times we peg someone else's issues worse than our own.
Yes.
And when somebody says something about somebody else, I say, my obesity is no better than what that person's doing. It's just that my obesity is acceptable, where that habit is not acceptable because it hurts other people.
Right.
Where I'm hurting myself. And can people say, well, I'm not hurting anybody but myself. But yes, you are. You're hurting your family. You're hurting your friends. You're hurting your coworkers. You're hurting a lot of people. So when it comes to, so you deal with habits, addictions, and things on that nature. And tell me a little bit about how you feel like addiction to, and we'll get into the scientific part of it too, and how addiction with or narcotic is kind of the same as an addiction with food. And I know that there's an endorphin release and all that, so just kind of explain a little bit about that, if you would, please.
Okay, well, the endorphin released is the dopamine, and your dopamine is what controls your pleasure, satisfaction, even I can't even think of the word right now.
Well, even in depression.
Depression is more of a serotonin.
It's serotonin, but it can be a dopamine too.
Right.
But serotonin works with depression. So a lot of people say, oh, well, if you'll just get up, if things just happen, if I just had $1 million, I would be happy. But if you don't have that serotonin,
it's a chemical imbalance.
It's a chemical imbalance. So you have either a serotonin depletion, or you have the ability of absorbing serotonin is not there, but in depression. So when you talk about dopamine release, like when I go and eat a chocolate cake, I get a dopamine release. I feel better for a moment. And that's the release that you're talking about, right? When you have something that that makes that dope? And you think it's because you eat something that you have a pleasure, but actually it's a dopamine release, right? Or it's part of it, or is that
It
how
is
that works?
part of it. It is. The same thing with exercise and other things that make you feel good, if you know what I'm talking
I
about.
do,
So,
because when people exercise, they have less likely a chance. Well, that doesn't mean they don't fight depression still, but people who are depressed do better when they exercise because of the stimulation or the release of the dopamine, the serotonin and stuff that exercise releases. That's exactly right. So when you were talking about the dopamine release, then how does all that trigger together? How does all that work?
well, when you abuse the dopamine, where it's not allowed to go in a natural form, say you binge eat or you use an opiate, you damage the dopamine. Once that dopamine is damaged, it takes more and more and more to satisfy it.
Wow. So you said, I think you explained there's something like this right here on the dopamine.
Yeah, like little tentacles or whatever,
Okay.
and they become
They
damaged.
can become damaged. So this dopamine that's released becomes damaged. So like you said, it just makes you just have to take more and more. Is that why a drug addict or an alcoholic or whoever has to keep drinking more and more and more because of that dopamine? They're not getting the same fix
Right,
that they did before.
right.
Interesting. So what we got to do is figure out what our trigger points are. We talked about a little bit about being genetic. So explain to me a little bit about that, because it's very intriguing to me, really.
Well, if you'll look back, you'll notice that addictions runs in families. Can it be a learned behavior? It can, but more than likely it's genetic. It just keeps passing down and down to each generation because, as you know, I come from a family of addicts, but each one of them had a different addiction, each one of us. You know, I didn't do the drugs and the alcohol like they did, but I had other addictions. I'm an ex-smoker. You know, I have fought a sugar addiction for years. I used to tell the boys that I worked with at Natchez, I never seen a cupcake I didn't like. You know, so yeah,
Amen.
there's all forms of addiction, but they're all run by that we need to feel good. We're replacing it so that we feel good. And there's different areas, such as, you know, maybe we come from an abusive background. You know, maybe our parents shamed us all the time. You know, don't eat that, you're going to get fat, you know, or, you know, if you were just a good kid, you know, you do bad. Instead of saying, you know, what you're doing is bad, they would tell them they were a bad kid. A child that lives with shame all the time, you know, how do they feel good? How do they know to feel good or know what their self-worth is? So a lot of people who eat, they're soothing themselves, they're comforting themselves, they're trying to feel good about themselves because as a child, they didn't feel good about themselves. Growing up, they didn't feel good about themselves. You know, it's the same way with abuse. A lot of people who have grown up in abuse continue to go on to either abuse or to be abused. Addiction's the same way. And it all surrounds around wanting to feel good, wanting to feel comforted, wanting to be accepted.
Interesting. Now, okay, so when you say interesting about the abuse, people who have been abused continually usually go back into that. Eventually, hopefully, they'll break the cycle because it's a place of security. People say, why doesn't that person get out of that marriage? Why do they let that person treat them that way? And I tell them, the reason why you stay in a bad relationship is because it's like staying in a bad job. You know how much you're going to make every week. You know where your bread and butter is going to come from. You know how many bills you can pay. But you still go to that same job, and it's horrible, but you still feel secure in that. When you stay in an abusive relationship, it's the same thing. You at least know what to expect. You know that the money that's coming in from that person and you is going to pay these bills. You've been doing it for years, but the abuse is still there. So it's interesting that when you talk about comfort and food and addiction and drugs and all that stuff, that's also a place of security. Because when I'm happy, I want to eat. When I'm sad, I want to eat. When I'm very upset, I want to eat. When I'm not upset, I want to eat. Because it's a familiarity. It's a place of being familiar. And that's really harsh because I don't know how to break that cycle, and I don't know how to help people break that cycle. Now, I'm trying to break that cycle myself because I've been like that my whole life, and I know that. And I don't fault anybody for that at all. My one side of my family is very trim, very fit, very okay. And then I've got another side of the family that's, a lot of them are obese and overweight. But it's not, I'm not faulting anybody, but we do, a lot of times we teach our kids, well, if we go to the dentist and you're good, I'll go buy you an ice cream cone. Well, if you do this and you're good, we'll go get pizza. And that's a horrible way to teach your children to feel that comfort when they're happy and all that. So it's a learned behavior too, as well, and a genetic too.
It is. It's a reward.
It's a reward.
Think about it. When you feel good, you're rewarding yourself. When you feel bad, you're comforting yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And we call those comfort eaters. We call comfort eaters, and it could be good or bad. Wow. So how do you reprogram that? Now I know you deal in trauma, and we were talking about, so explain to me again, because I only heard it once, so I want to understand it. These little trauma things that are floating around in our brains, so explain that to me if you would.
See, with trauma, until you process it, it's like floating around in your brain, just kind of like this, and waiting. It's waiting for a sound. It could be a song. It could be a smell. It could be somebody yelling. Have you ever seen anybody who come from an abusive background, somebody yells, what do? They go like this, they freeze. So with EMDR therapy, you're processing that memory. You're going through the phases of processing that memory. And you're like taking it and putting it in a little cubby hole. You don't ever forget it. A lot of people are like, oh, is that kind of like hypnosis or something? No. They're awake the whole time. They know they're experiencing it. They're feeling it. They know what they're going through. And then afterwards, they can pull the memory up. They can look at the memory and put it right back in there.
So that EMDR is eye movement desensitization
reprocessing.
Processing. Okay. Okay. And we all understand what PTSD means. That word PTSD, we understand what that means because that deals with trauma in so many areas. PTSD doesn't have to be just for veterans either. It can be like when I got shot in the face with a shotgun, I have PTSD from that. If somebody shoots a gun, I was at a writer's retreat and they had this big cannon, a real cannon with a real cannonball, and they had it outside and they never said one word about them gonna fire that dude up, and they did. And I wasn't ready. It was nighttime. I was in the house cleaning dishes after everybody ate, and they threw that thing, they lit that thing, and I thought I was going to get under the table. And it's something that comes fast. That sound is not anything that's good for me. But a lot of times people think that PTSD is associated with just veterans and things like that, but it's not.
No.
And a lot of times as people who are comfort eaters, with a problem of needing dopamine issues rise, we don't realize that we need to deal with some trauma in our lives. And I think that's really bottom line is what I think we need to do in Me versus Me, is to figure out how do we deal with these little trauma things that's come on in our lives, and we comfort ourselves. So, so how do you guys do that, the EMDR therapy? Is this a therapy thing that you do?
It is. It's a therapy thing where you go through a process of 8 different steps with the client
And
for them to process the trauma.
wow. Wow. And so through the therapy, then you realize what makes their triggers, what their triggers are, probably.
Well, actually, what we do, we start out and we say, all right, give me a list of, say, 10 memories that bother you. And that's what we call them, memories. Give me 10 memories that bother you.
I can write 10.
Right? I could. You know,
Wow.
the best part about EMDR therapy is I've had it done with me.
Because you've been through a lot.
I have been through a lot.
And I know.
And it changes everything. And it changes it like that quick.
It does. So how did you do through your therapy? Look at you now. You're doing great. And so did you feel that you had a release in your life with
It changed everything, because what it did is the biggest memory that I had to process happened when I was actually 9 years old.
Wow.
And this was processed about in 2020.
Wow.
And it has changed everything. It changed how I look at myself, how I feel about myself. It has changed a lot. Do I have more I need to work through? You know my past. You know I do. You know, we all do. But it was an awesome experience, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
So, okay, so we're really diving into It's Me versus Me. And it's not just about eating, and it's not just about, and I know this, and it's not just about working out, and it's not just about the group support that we give. It's not just about the board that we show on how we lose our weight. It's not about our progress thing that we do. None of that. Is there a place that people can go that has a group therapy or some kind of therapy where if a person feels like that they need to talk about things, if they really want to get a handle on their completely 100%, if they really want to get a handle on it, you can get a handle on it for a little while. Like I know the struggle is real. I've lost 35 pounds and I can't get off the same pound for 2 weeks now. And it's very frustrating for me. I want to go back to my old habits of eating because I'm upset. So who do we go to if we decide we want to really dive into what's going on in our hearts? Who would we call? How would we do that?
That I can't answer.
Okay.
I really don't
I've
know.
never heard of one before.
And there should be one.
I
agree.
be.
There should be one. It would be amazing if there was one.
Just group therapy.
Yeah.
Well,
or even one-on-one. And the ones that are struggling the most, that you know have a lot of trauma, I would recommend that they would go. Now me, when I worked with my boys that I worked with at Natchez Trace, I'm big on solution focused. So I would say to you to keep a food diary.
Okay.
Everything you eat, what were you feeling? Were you hungry? Was you bored? Was you angry? You know, keep a diary of everything that's going on. Also, another thing you need to look at, because I know the struggle, because I'm on the same journey, just in a different way, is when you start exercising, you're building muscle. So, and muscle weighs more than fat. So the scales may not go, they may not go, and then they drop.
They do.
And that's what you've got to keep that focus. You know, keep the positive. You have got to keep the positive.
Yeah. A lot of times we had talked about the reasons why we don't lose weight or why we can't keep it off. And my biggest thing is self-sabotage. You know, a fear of failure. So a fear of failure is, oh no, I've started this. Now I've lost 35 pounds. can I keep doing this? Because I got another 35 to go. So can I keep doing this? And what if I fail? Oh, yeah, okay. They got church on Wednesday night. I have a battle with this. I'll go over there and eat. It's going to be church's fault. It's going to be birthday fault. It's going to be family reunion fault. It's going to come up Thanksgiving fault. It's going to be Thanksgiving's fault. Then it's going to be Christmas fault. And then the first year is going to come, oh, my New Year's resolution. So what am I going to do? And I'm talking about myself particularly. I can't speak for anybody else. What am I going to do to either self-sabotage myself and say it wasn't my fault that I didn't succeed? Or am I gonna, like you said, stop, be patient, make my diary, figure out where my triggers are, and go from there? And I think that's really important that we, as a group of people that are working through this issues, would really need to do that. I love the food diary thing. Absolutely. Is there anything else that you could help us with to learn how to keep track of what we're doing?
I think the diary, the reason it's so important because it's teaching you about you. Prime example is a lot of times people think when people get angry, they're just angry, but anger is actually a cover-up emotion because people don't freely know how to express, I'm sad, I'm scared. How many times do you see people go, I'm so afraid? They won't. They're going to get angry and they're going to pull up and they're going to fight you because they're afraid that you're going to hurt them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it would be the same thing with self-sabotage. Why are you self-sabotaging yourself? As a therapist, I'm going to say, what is it inside of you that makes you feel that you're so unworthy to be able to not only continue this journey, but to be successful? Yeah. And that's the biggest battle right there that we fight with, especially as women. We feel bad about ourselves when we gain the weight, right? So we're constantly beating ourselves up. And then we get to a place when we try to do something about it, we think we're unworthy. Well, what is the reason behind us feeling unworthy? Who hurt us that we haven't dealt with? What's happened that we haven't dealt with? And when we get to a place where we can deal with it and we can process whatever it is that happened to us, then we can let it go. And it's the hard part.
It really is.
Because you got to pull it. You got to pull it from deep in you.
Well, you have to find your self-worth when you don't feel that you're worthy. You have to figure out where you do have self-worth. And it's interesting that all the participants that we have are women.
Yeah.
Because men, they're not gravitating toward taking care of themselves, a lot of them. This is a woman's thing. This is a fight for them. But I saw a guy today at the restaurant, and I just love him. And I wanted to just hug him and tell him, hey, let's talk about this weight thing, because it's something that's not healthy. It's just not where you're at. It's not healthy. And you know what I did? I did it. I hugged him. I told him, I said, I love you like you're my own son. And I said, I'm worried about you. And I asked him if I could call him about it. And he said, yeah, but a lot of men don't want to do it. They don't want to admit that they've got a problem. Right. And I'm not sure exactly what the difference is between men and women. Women are really easier, it seems like, for them to say, I've got this and I need to fix it or I need to change it. And I don't really know if you've seen that in your practice or not.
Because boys are told, don't cry. Big boys don't cry. Men don't cry. So they're taught to push all of their emotions down. That's why.
It's a shame
It
that we
is.
do that to our boys. It's a shame that we do it to our kids. Let's go get ice cream if you'll be good. It's a shame that we do it to our boys, that we do that. You don't need to cry. You need to take care of your mother and your sister. You need to, that pressure right there. You know, I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be, you know, guys go to war. Well, you take care of your mom and your sister while I'm gone. That's a huge order
It
to
is.
tell your child, your 10-year-old son, I've got to go to war, so you take care of your mother and your sister. Think about the pressure that you put on a child. And I think a lot of times when people tell kids like that, they think that they're making that child feel like they're important, that they matter. But the thing of it is, kids can't do that. They just can't. That pressure is unbelievable, I think.
It is. I agree.
Did you find a lot of that in your when you were talking to the boys, or what did you find that's going on with that? Because we need to wake up. We need to wake up and say, "Hey, this is a problem. We need to deal with these."
Sadly, a lot of the boys that I worked with were in DCS custody, so they've already been taken out of the homes. They were either truant or they were out already stealing cars and robbing little old ladies and stuff like that. So the majority of them were DCS. So
Wow.
mom and dad, maybe dad wasn't in the home, mom was. Mom worked 2 jobs to try to take care of them. He had about 14, 15 years old, and he joined a gang.
Because they didn't have that tight knit family at home to keep them out of
They
trouble.
needed that connection to feel like they belonged. So went through some stuff with working with these boys. And, you know, a lot of the parents, mostly in this day and age, struggle with drugs. You know, they would be gone, be pulled out of the home because of drugs. Mom or dad would quit all of the drugs but still smoke marijuana, and they wouldn't let them go back. Well, the kid didn't understand. He's 14, 15 years old, and marijuana's a herb. You know, to him, it was a herb. So why are they not letting me go home? And so,
Wow. Okay, so I think what I would like to do, maybe we could do it together, is find out if there is any support around, if not one-on-one group, that we could get people involved, and let's talk about some of these things and figure out what I would love to be able to get down to the nitty-gritty of what really makes us tick on this issue. And so I think we'll start with a diary. Is there anything else that you can tell us that might help us to understand how we can reprogram ourselves to start taking notice of our worth? I love that.
What I always tell, and I'm sorry, my glasses keep falling down, what I always tell my people is, especially when you're working with addictions, I always tell them, hey, what happens if you fall down? You get up, you dust yourself off, and you start over. It's learning new habits. It's learning it's okay if you fall down. You know, it's okay at Thanksgiving if you have a little piece of pumpkin pie. Make up for it with something different. You've just got to get to the place where you can't be so hard on yourself, because none of us can live up to the pressure we put on ourselves.
Wow.
And I think that's the most important thing.
I want to talk about well, I love the diary issue. I'm going to do that. And so is there anything that you would like to say other than that before we go? And I have enjoyed so much you being here and giving us a lot of things to think about on triggers and trauma and things like that. Is there anything else that you could tell us that might help us out? Because we're all in that journey.
When you know your triggers, you can control your triggers.
And how do you do that?
I'll give you a prime example.
I love
when
it.
I was younger, I dealt a lot with depression. A lot of depression. I've learned since then, becoming a therapist, that, and people don't realize this, depression is self-anger. So a lot of people don't realize that, unless it is the chemical
Imbalance.
imbalance. But a lot of depression, if it's just an occasional, you get so depressed you just don't know if you can go on, and then it's gone. It may not ever happen again for 6, 7, 8 months. I learned what my triggers were, and when I start feeling it come on, I do something I enjoy.
Okay.
And it's simple. It could be as simple as going and seeing my grandbabies and loving on them. Who can be depressed with a baby?
Now, this self-anger thing, let's elaborate on that just a moment. What do you feel that is it something that you did that you didn't like that you did? Is it a choice that you made? Did you spend too much money? What happens with that self-anger? What is
A lot of that comes from your childhood.
Okay.
It depends on how you grew up. Were your parents harsh on you? Did they expect you to be a perfect little soldier who never messed up and never said anything?
So
A lot of perfectionists, that's what happens, is they grow up thinking that they can't make a mistake. Everything they do has to be perfect. Well, then if you do something and you might mess up and you're like, oh man, I really messed that up, then who are you going to get angry at?
you, because you're not that perfect soldier. Huh.
Exactly. We've just got to get easier on ourselves. I think we're too hard on ourselves. I used to say I'm my own worst enemy.
Wow.
In our childhood and how we grow up, and if it wasn't an abusive, family dynamic, then it affects how you look at yourself. It affects what you think other people see, because you have that in your ear, constantly in your ear, reminding you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right.
So abusive doesn't always have to mean physical.
No.
It can be mental, emotional.
They're the worst. They're the worst. Think about it. With physical, you have the ability to fight back. But if it's emotional or mental, unless your brain works the same way theirs does, you're just kind of standing there taking it. You don't know how to fight that back. How do you fight back somebody who is beating you down, beating your self-worth down?
So as an adult, and I think a lot of people have this problem. As an adult, how do we, and a lot, well, the spiritual realm, we gravitate to the Lord a lot if you're a Christian. We find our self-worth a lot in how we feel he feels about us, that he loves us just the way we are, that he accepts us, that he's patient with us.
Until we mess up.
Until we mess up.
And then we think he's just like our parents.
Mad at us.
Yeah.
Well, interesting triggers for sure. And I appreciate you talking about that, because I think these are deep subjects that need to be tweaked on throughout our journey. We're on a 16-week journey for each series. And if we don't deal with those things, we're not dealing. We can deal with the carbs and the proteins and the calories, and we can deal with going to the gym. But we need to try to figure out how to help each other deal with how we feel on the inside. And you have really opened a lot of doors for us, and I really do appreciate that so much. You don't know how much I appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I love you.
I love you too, and thank you for having me.
All right. Now, up next, Mama's Touch has a very cool thing to share with us. And I know what she does with this has changed the way that I eat my salads and makes them more fun and easier to eat. So let's watch Peggy Grooms on a Mama's Touch. Okay.
So
now, what do you do? What's going on with this right here? This right here.
Oh, Okay.
I know what it is, but you tell the people.
All right. All right. Well, I'm playing like this doesn't have anything on it.
Okay.
So I just put this here.
That's that non-slick stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that,
Yeah.
you just take this. I tear it in two because I save everything. This is my water I keep right here. It's always fresh water.
Right.
Then I just wrap it up here.
There.
Then I go. Then I'm taking way too much. I just always like that.
Okay.
And then I've got this. I put it right here. It doesn't split. So people need to, if they have these at Walmart and several for a low price. They got all different. I think I told you all different sizes. I've cut them. I've cut them all to different sizes.
So you cut them to the size that you want because a lot of times you don't need that much.
Yes. And this came from Dollar Tree. It was $1.25. I love it. All different sizes. And this is for raw meat right there.
We saw that in the chicken series.
Okay.
All right.
So there we go. I will show you how to do it.
Okay.
So I start it like this. And if it's just like it's not there.
Yeah.
And then I turn it like this.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's according to what kind of knife you want to use. And then you take it like this.
Well, look at that.
Like that. Hey, you've got this like that. And you can do them bigger. I like smaller.
Dad likes bigger. You like smaller. I like smaller.
Yes.
Yeah, but Dad likes them bigger.
Small, I like big. And
Dad likes bigger.
where is my little thing? Oh, well. So, and when I want to get through something, I just dip it like that.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Got skills, girl. You going somewhere. You're going somewhere right when you get work, okay?
Never thought I was going to get skills.
All right. Thank you, Mama, from my Mama's Touch. You want to say bye? Say bye.
I don't have a spoon.
Are you going to say bye?
Okay, but I want to put this in here.
Okay, you go right ahead.
There you go.
There.
This is from Mama's Touch.
Love it.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. Bye. What a little cutie she is. So ready and willing to help everyone just to be their best selves. She's always been like that. And I just so love her. That's my mama on Mama's Touch. Now, go get you a barbecue sauce or a ketchup bottle or something like that, preferably something that weighs about 2 pounds. And let's do a little workout while we're sitting here. And I'm gonna get ready and you go get ready and this commercial will come up and we'll see you back in just about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Are you struggling with your weight? Do you feel like your health is starting to fail and the fight is just too hard? Well, you're not alone. Many people are fighting the same battle every day. Some win battles, but few win the war. And why is it so hard to win? Because you're fighting against someone who knows you very well, someone who knows your weaknesses and your faults. And who is this enemy? It's you. It's me. That's where it's me versus me life change challenge comes in. Hi, my name is Gary Boyd, and I would like to introduce you to a life change program that you can live with and love. What will it take for you to make the necessary changes to take your life back? You can either pay now or you can pay later. The choice is yours, but just know your life is worth it. Sign up to be a participant at itsmeversusme.tv and take back your life today. As the old saying goes, just choosing changes nothing, but deciding changes everything. So why not be a part of a group of people who have chosen life and will receive much encouragement and direction throughout the journey. And I'm right there with you as I've lost 22 pounds so far and my household has lost 90 pounds, so we know the struggle is real. Through high-tech 3D body scanning, It's Me Versus Me can help take the guesswork out of your fitness and weight loss goals through periodic measurement of your progress. So if you're tired of being tired and watching the world go on without you, make the decision. If not now, then when? Log on to www.itsmeversusme.tv to find out more on how to become a participant. Space is limited, so act fast. Remember, the struggle is real, so let's fight this battle together and be our best selves.
It's me versus me, the struggle is real. It's me versus me, the struggle is real.
Now that you've got your whatever you have, barbecue sauce, ketchup, doesn't matter. This is Prostat. This is something that Jerry has to drink because of her leg healing. So I just grabbed this because it's actually a good weight. And so in sitting in your chair, you can just take and just do this. So if you'll do this, you keep your arms to the side and you just pull up. Don't do this. We just want to do this. That's it. There you go. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to continue to do that. We'll do 10 of these. Now I'm going to take one leg and I'm going to raise it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to raise the other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to raise both legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and down. Now, as we do this, we're going to take our arms like this, and I've got a little 3-pound weight in this hand, and this one's about 3 pounds as well. But it's just going to show you that if you get something that's plastic and has a little grip on it, you can just do all kinds of workouts. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we can go out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to raise my legs again, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then what can I do here is I can take my legs, if you have a way to just put your hands down, and just take your legs and then just pick them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll do 5 more. 6, 7. Never put them down, keep them up. 8, 9, and 10. So each time a commercial comes on TV, you want to just keep your stuff there and just do your little workouts like this. Come up forward, put them down, raise them up, take your legs, and then just up, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I want to tell you thank you for joining us tonight, and go to www.itsmeversusme.tv and fill out the questionnaire if you'd like to be a participant in our program and get your life back. I'll see y'all next Sunday night, 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel at It's Me Versus Me TV. God bless you all. See you next week. And oh yeah, don't forget to purchase any of the merchandise that you would like to have, or you can contact me on the web, or you can contact me on Facebook under Gary Grooms Boyd. God bless you, and don't forget to be your best selves this week. Bye-bye.
It's me versus me, the struggle is real. It's me versus me, the struggle is real. struggle is real. The struggle